Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, your Master of Ceremonies, Hall of Famer, Dan Egan. I'm going. I got audio.
No lights. How's everybody doing tonight? Up. How about Little Boston, huh?
Everything's over here, so we're gonna give you a nice little intro. Everything's cool. You good?
Yeah.
All right.
How long is this going to go on for?
I'll kill it.
Yeah. How's everybody doing tonight? You got to read the book to see why we play Sweet Emotion. Hey everybody, welcome to the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame Induction Gala here at the beautiful Mount Washington Hotel. Hi everybody, I'm Dan Egan and I'm your host for the night. The Mount Washington. Is this a dreamy place or what? You know? What a perfect New Hampshire day. Not a cloud in the sky, sun's out, fresh snow on a Saturday. It's unbelievable. This morning I was down at the Hannah Schneider Cup, and when I was down there at Cranmore, I was thinking I'm a stone's throw away from Shawnee Peak, King Pine, Black Mountain, Wildcat. I had driven by Attitash. The other day when I flew in from Big Sky, Montana and came home to Waterville Valley, a rare occurrence, I drove by Loon, Cannon, and came and skied fresh snow right here at Bretton Woods. I love that about New Hampshire because here we love to ski. We love mountains. You know, in New Hampshire, we have 18 ski areas, 14 Nordic centers, and in the White Mountains, it's full of adventures. Years ago, I brought Cecil Johnson here, artist Cecil Johnson here to the White Mountains to paint a painting for the NASDA conference in 1994. And as I was doing a site visit with the artist and driving her all around the States, we rode the lift at Bretton Woods to the top of the quad. And when she looked out at the presidential range, she gasped. And she said, "I get it. The White Mountains unfold across the entire state." And I love that. Tonight, this room is full of regional, national, and international ski legends. And it's so great to have the ski industry here. I understand that Jeff Krill is here. Jeff, you out there? Jeff Krill here? National PSIA demo team. We have former World Pro mogul skier sitting up front, Eric Scharmer. We have Jimmy Drummond from Drummond Mountain Shop right across the way, whose grandfather was the caretaker for the hotel. We have probably one of the best general managers in the building, Ben Wilcox, right around here. I'm afraid he'll steal the mic from me, but Bo Adams is here too. Where's Bo? Kathy Chandler from Waterville Valley Adaptive, I believe, is in the house. Great to see Kathy. And we have freestyle legends, Nick and Susie Preston, right up front, right here. And so many more we'll get to throughout the night. I know myself, I'll never forget the first time I saw the Mount Washington Hotel. I had to know more about this place. I was driving east to west on Route 302 when the first time I saw it. And I was awestruck. It was so amazing when you think about the history this building played and all that this building holds within it. There's another building just a short 1,400 miles northwest of here. And it captures your attention in a similar way. If you get to Detroit and you point it north for 7 or 8 hours, you'll end up on the UP, and you'll roll into Ishpeming, Michigan. And in the center of town, there's a building with a roof that's shaped like a ski jump. And out in front is this big, beautiful bronze statue of a ski jumper. The first place of organized skiing in America, Ishpeming, Michigan, and the home of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. And inside that building, there's 455 honored members, of which only 120 are alive today. It's an elite group. The U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame is so much more than a building. That building has the capacity to hold dreams, visions, inventions, innovations, and Olympic glory. And this class of 2002 that is being inducted tonight are showstoppers. One of our inductees tonight invented a playful way for the masses to play and glide on snow. Another, coached by her sister, went from last to fast and went to the top of the FIS World Cup downhill circuit. One sat at the crossroads of fashion, culture, and lifestyle. Another one worked right here at Bretton Woods and had the vision for the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, Utah. Yet another of our inductees tonight owns 3 resorts and is a pioneer in wind power and solar power renewable energy. And still another is one of the few people on the planet to win back-to-back gold medals in the Olympics. I'm so excited to be honoring these individuals tonight. Tonight promises to be a night that you won't forget because we are surrounded by you, family, friends, and colleagues. And we're all connected through our passion to glide over, on, and through snow. I love to ski. When I buckle up and strap on my boards, I instantly return to the place of my youth. A joyful, fun, adventurous place. Winter sports offers such a strong generational tie to our past, and it creates an inspiring outlook towards our future. Tonight, we are all part of that generational pull that got hooked on skiing and snowboarding. If you're here tonight, it's likely that winter has touched and changed your life. You probably told your parents that you would take just one more semester off from college. You most likely have a powder clause in your personal contract. And there's no doubt that you've wasted more than one perfectly productive day finding adventure on the mountains. Yes, tonight is special because you are all here to honor these 6 people who changed our sport forever. Let's give our inductees tonight a big round of applause. And with that, thank you very much. I'd like to bring up David Injemy to welcome you all to the start of the dinner.
Good evening. Earlier they told me I had 30 minutes, but actually when I heard the voicemail again, it said 30 seconds. So, well, 3 minutes. So I'll have to work pretty fast on this. Anyway, good evening, everyone, and I hope you're all having a good time. It looked like you did out there before the room opened up, so that was great. And welcome to Bretton Woods, the home of the very famous United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference back in 1944, where they started the inflation that we're hitting right now. For sure, the 44 nations involved didn't have as much fun as we are going to have with this induction tonight. Congratulations to the new inductees. You heard all their names earlier, and you're going to see a whole lot of information about them coming up, and really pay attention because it's amazing how much has been accomplished by this group. This is a very special evening, and I want to thank the staff of Aisha and the Hall of Fame and the volunteers involved in pulling together this event, especially with all the COVID stuff that's been going on. And with a special shout out to the Hall of Fame board member Christine Donovan, who's helped us to come here in Bretton Woods, and to Dan Egan, who you've seen earlier, just before me, and what he's going to be doing later. Another thank you to the people who actually put together the nominations of the inductees and all the people involved in the voting, led by Jeff Leake. It's an amazing job, and I can't, if you're not involved in it, it's very difficult to explain how long it takes to get the number of people that get nominated for inductions to be screened out, to looked at, and to have the voting panel of over 300 people look at to vote for tonight. It's a very difficult process. And the logistics, and then I want to thank the hotel, the people involved in the hotel, involved in the logistics from setting up the food prep and service, especially to all of you who are being here for the celebration, because we need you. The hall wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for you, the supporters, all here. Let me also toast all the honored inductees already in the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame for all they did for the snow sport, for the skiing and snowboarding, and building the snow sports industry and activity. If you are here, please stand up to be recognized, all current honorees. Come on, we got to stand up. There you go. Come on, there's a few more. All right. And lastly, I want to give a special thanks to inductee Brian Fairbank for everything he has accomplished so far during his career, and for being the new chairman of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame Board of Directors. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Well, it was, like I said, a perfect weekend to go skiing. And when you go across and ski Bretton Woods, you really understand the beauty of the place. Let's watch a little video from Bretton Woods. And to welcome us to this beautiful place and all that happened today, Josh Stabatish, the GM.
Well, it's an honor to welcome everyone to the Omni Mount Washington Resort. It's tough following two Hall of Famers, which I am not, but I have the honor of being the general manager here. Just welcome. It's incredible to see so many familiar faces and so many legends in the room to honor this great sport. Just like to recognize our table as well. It's just great to have the team, and appreciate Dan for mentioning everyone. Obviously, Craig Clemmer, our Director of Sales and Marketing, our three-time Olympian Mickey Farah, Gus DiMaggio, with Ellen Chandler, tremendous impact on Nordic, obviously, and Rose and Chris Elms. And Chris will kill me for saying this, but this event, in my opinion, would not be here without the tremendous impact that Chris Elms has had on this resort and everything he's done for Bretton Woods. He's our Hall of Famer for sure. One of the most incredible things I feel about snow sport industry is how tight the community is. A lot of familiar faces, and everyone is so willing to assist each other, support each other, and I think you see that in this room, and you see that with our nominees. I've seen some amazing stories over the last few days and got to meet some amazing, amazing people that just span generations. I think yesterday, or 2 days ago, we got to hear the special story about Howard Peterson and the tremendous impact he had here, and then on the Olympics, and obviously at Soldier Hollow. So just a lasting impact on the industry. We have a fashion icon in the room. Love the sweater today, looks fantastic. Barbara Allen Simons, what an amazing five-decade career. Watching yesterday, had the opportunity to watch, didn't think I'd see this, Seth Westcott, Holly Flanders, and Dan Egan cruise the bunny slope at our very own resort on a snurfer with the Poppin family, which was just incredible. Everyone made it down in one piece. It was amazing to see. I remember Seth dominating the Olympics and obviously Holly in the World Cup accomplishments, and did not think I'd see them on the snurfer on the bunny hill, which was incredible. And Julie and Wendy, congratulations to your dad, and I'm excited for my snurfer that you gave me. Thank you. I will treasure that. So thank you very much. Also, it's very special to have Brian Fairbanks here. What a remarkable accomplishments you've had. Jiminy Peak, obviously, the renewable energy is unbelievable, and it's just really such a trendsetter with that, and all the tremendous growth that you and Ben are doing at Cranmore and your team. It's unbelievable. It's really, really exciting. So, congratulations to you. And again, it's just such an honor to host everyone this weekend, and it's just congratulations to all the inductees and all the inductees tonight. All the best, and thank you for being here.
And of course, we do want to encourage you to eat. Feel like you can eat and dig in. Don't hold back. We've got a long night ahead of us, so we want to keep it flowing. Next up is the Executive Director of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, Justin Kowalski.
Yeah, definitely get eating. I'm going to be brief. I want to most importantly thank you guys all for coming. Putting on this event is kind of a labor of love for me and our organization, so I really thank you guys for all being here. It's been a long 2 years. We haven't been able to do this for 2 years because of the pandemic. So we're doing an event here. 3 weeks from now, we're going to be in Sun Valley. 5 weeks from now, we're going to be in Aspen, Snowmass, Colorado, doing a third event. So lots of inductions. Next year, 2, one here in the East and one at Big Sky. It's amazing. I'm not going to reiterate because the show after dinner is going to be incredible, but I do want to urge everybody to help out. This is our primary fundraiser. There's lots of auction items. If you didn't see them during the pre-function, they're not going to close until well after the first intermission, after you guys all eat, after we recognize our first 3 honorees. There's a lot of trips. There's soft goods in the back room. There's lots of cool stuff. I do not want to bring it back to Michigan with me, so please buy it. And take it home with you, so I don't have to. So tonight we have an extraordinary program. A lot goes into this. I really hope you guys enjoy it. Between building the relationships with the honorees, I have an amazing job where I get to meet Holly Flanders and become friends with Seth Westcott and meet the Poppin sisters. Is it Wanda or Wendy? I forget. Oh, it's Wendy. Segueing into our next part, without having events for 2 years, we were able to sort of focus on some other fundraising opportunities. We actually had our most lucrative, profitable year as an organization in over 18 years last year by doing some grant things and having some people, 3 of whom are in this room tonight, which we're going to recognize through a naming grant opportunity back in Ishpeming. We're also bringing the Ishpeming Museum online at skihallxr.com in the next 3 years. It's going to be on Oculus. It's going to be something that the next generation can really delve into and see without having to travel to Ishpeming, which nobody knows where that is. It's harder to get to than Maine. Let's say that. You can't get there from here. So earlier this morning in Cranmore, there was a really special presentation. The governor was there. I'm obligated by right of the seal of New Hampshire to go ahead and read this. Our first naming grant was recognized this morning because it is his resort, after all, at Cranmore. So the state of New Hampshire, by His Excellency Christopher T. Sununu, the governor, Whereas Brian H. Fairbank is recognized for his contributions to skiing in New England and for his induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. Brian. Also, Brian and his wife, Vicki, have so graciously supported the museum through a naming grant and named our Honor Members Court, which holds the 455 unique plaques of all the honored members from 1956, starting with Carl Tellefson all the way to Seth Westcott, who's honored member number 452 tonight honored. That room will forever be known as the Fairbank Room, so I really appreciate it, Brian and Vicki. And next up, we have a very special presentation also, which is sort of a surprise and something we're really excited to roll out tonight for the naming of our adaptive display in Ishpeming, Michigan. And to tell you more about that, back to our host, Dan Egan, and thank you from Ishpeming.
Well, there's no doubt we live in a time where there's been awakening for inclusion, diversity, and it feels like a new dawn. But of course, there's others that have come before us that we're standing on their backs. The root of things are important. This award tonight, this special recognition, the Gwen Alward, is one of those people that forged ahead, not only in education and in adaptive, but in systems and teaching and inspiring others to open the doors. And the Bard Foundation is making this possible with their grant, and I'd like to bring up Mr. Bill Irwin. Bill, for everything you do, thank you.
Well, it's an honor to stand up here. I've been a board member for quite a while with the Ski Hall of Fame, and to see everybody in attendance here tonight and to talk to people tonight has been a very, very special experience. Gwen, when we came to an offer from the hall for a naming a room, we thought long and hard on what that room should be. And because the foundation honors people, our foundation, the Baird Foundation, we felt not only finding a room and helping support that, but an individual to go along with it. It's appropriate to focus an exhibit to an individual quietly behind the scenes who doesn't get recognized because they're quiet, they're effective, and they make a big difference in our industry. Gwen Allard is here with her husband, family, and friends tonight. Her passion and driving vision has been for all people, regardless of their physical limitations, to have access to our sport. Complemented by her personality, network, and dedication, she has helped create a sustainable network and an educational template for many of our national ski programs. The results can be seen at the Wyndham Ski Area, where she founded the Ski Wyndham Adopted Program in 1983, raised the funds to build a special magic carpet for the program, and where in 2005, the 8,000 square foot Adoptive Sports Center was dedicated and named in her honor. Her roots run deep in winter sports education. She has served as Executive Director of Professional Ski Instructors of America Eastern Division. She was also director of the PSIA Educational Foundation for many years. Her efforts were instrumental in establishing a ski center with a staff of over 200 volunteer ski instructors and technicians for the Double H Hole-in-the-Wall Ranch for children and families dealing with life-threatening disability illness in upstate New York. A trail was named after Gwen called Gwen's Fun Trail in recognition of her efforts. In 2001, she was named to the National Disabled Ski Hall of Fame. In addition, she is also a gifted fundraiser who has raised millions of dollars for the many projects she has spearheaded. Gwen has inspired and supported thousands of trainers, instructors, and students through her programs and efforts, many who have gone on to prominent positions within the adaptive sports industry. In recognition of her dedicated life work, the future updated adaptive ski display in Ishpeming will be permanently named after Gwen. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very proud to introduce my colleague and friend, Mrs. Gwen Allard.
By the way, the cane is due to not a ski injury, but I fell down a pair of stairs and I broke a hip. So anyway, enough of that. Hey, this is big league. I've never been honored like this before, and I am scared to death. But anyway. Bill, our friendship has been cherished for years, and I met your dad many years ago, and what a good representative you are of him, but also what a wonderful man he was, and it was an honor to know him. During my career, I often had worked with Bill and the Baird Foundation, and they have been extremely supportive of some of the crazy ideas I've had, especially regarding the Double H Hole in the Woods. It is a camp for seriously ill children and to provide the means for them, they believed me, to teach children with serious disabilities how to ski and snowboard. And it was free. And we have had some of those children go out and race, and they had 2 pairs of outriggers, and they came in the top 10. But that's just the beginning. That was many years ago. And in 1976, the Adaptive Skiing and Snowboard had a gathering out west, and they have been holding this ski gathering for people with disabilities ever since, and it's crowded every single year. The people who got that going were from my program that I had started down at Ski Wyndham in New York, and they are now some of the coaches out there, and it goes on, and the event is going every single year and keeps on going, and you can't believe who shows up. Back in the days, in the 70s, the discipline was called disabled or handicapped, but that really wasn't very nice. So we've been working and trying to promote skiing for everyone all these years. But motivation and technology has really done a job for us, and we finally have been able to use the word adaptive. Much nicer, don't you think? For example, anybody hear of Diana Golden? A great friend and a great skier. And she and Teddy Kennedy both had cancer. And the cure for cancer at that point was to cut off their legs. And she wouldn't take no for an answer. And she kept on skiing. And she ran one of the downhills of the Olympics super slalom. And they then kept her coming, and they would push her run the race. And she did that to the rest of her life. She worked with a lot of the Vietnam War vets and helped them get used to skiing with outriggers or prostheses and get back on our slopes, which are really what they wanted to do. It was a hard sell, guys. I can't tell you it wasn't. Docs didn't want them to ski. Area management didn't want them to ski because, you know, they might get hurt. Well, their accident rates are a lot better than ours. And it finally got so that it was okay if you be very careful. Don't go fast. But anyway, I went out to Golden to meet at the headquarters out there, and I heard that they were changing our methodology. Remember the old final? Well, you're too young. But anyway, in the olden days, we had final forms. You had to perform them just so, and you would be examined. Anywho, we dropped that, and Horst Abrams got together with the team, and they decided to do something more user-friendly than the final forms. And he did a motto, kind of. Anybody can ski. It's easy. No excuses. Easy. So I heard that and went to the powers that be, and fortunately it was persuasive. And I persuaded them to take Diana Golden, this amputee, over to St. Anton, Austria, and have her lead the U.S. team, the American team, down at the demonstration. And she went over and she trained with them. And the guys didn't pay much attention to them at the time, but anyway, she'd fall down, she'd get up, and she'd catch up with them, and she'd ski. Let me tell you, when that American team came at the top of that international training and demonstration team, she started out and it was leading the U.S. team in perfect synchronization. And I thought, don't they know who that is? For Pete's sakes. And as it came down, the noise got louder and louder and louder and louder. And when she came down with ski poles, not outriggers, she carved a turn through the snow up in the grandstands, and the crowd just exploded. And everybody cheered her, and she was the belle of that international meeting. We made it. People recognized that anybody can ski if they want to, and it was finally not disabled. We were, yeah. I was so glad I took my piggy bank and got over there to see that, really. And finally, we were a known or accepted part of the ski industry. And many people have joined us. And you know, I've got to say, don't worry, we're not going to take over the ski slopes. Because look at our population. We don't have that many accidents. And those that we do, because we have got all sorts of equipment to let people ski very safely. We don't bump into people, and we're accepted. Finally we're accepted. Okay. It took us a long time to get accepted, and now some of our leading leaders are working with the industry, developing equipment and all sorts of devices to enable them to ski, and we've got people working in the industry and teaching. So when you see them, congratulate them, because they've gone a long way. I've got some people here with me at my table that I do want to introduce to you, because they're not only good friends, but we've done a lot of things together, which I won't mention, and had a good time. Kathy Chandler, from your neighborhood area. We did a lot of traveling together, and she's a good friend, but she was in the very beginning, and we roamed the East Coast, West Coast together, trying to spread the word that handicapped people can ski, and I used that naughty word, I'm sorry. That's age, that's all that is. And then there is a special friend, because people sit down and ski, and if you ever see a monoskier or a bi-skier, just stop and look, because they are paralyzed. Some of them are both arm and leg paralyzed, and they ski better than you and I do. Guaranteed. In fact, Jeff Krill from Loon is, yeah. I've adopted him as my third son. But anyway, Jeff is is a paraplegic. There's nothing from here down. And he came to one of our adaptive clinics, and I had his father tell me, Jeff is really crushed. He loves to ski, he races, etc. And he's really down. He doesn't want to give up.
I had no idea you were this kind of a long-winded speaker, Mom. You're amazing.
You know,
They're saying we need to wrap this up, so start from here and finish, please.
you know that cane I brought in?
You're going to beat me with it after we
Yes.
leave here. I know.
Yes.
I know.
Yes. Anyway, it's been nice. Okay.
Welcome to the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame induction. Tonight, we honor. Tonight, we celebrate. Tonight, we pay tribute to the inventor, Sherman Poppin, the fashion icon, Barbara Allie Simon, the winter sports industry leader, Brian Fairbank, the visionary, Howard Peterson, two-time Olympian, Holly Flanders, and two-time gold medalist and world champion, Seth Westcott. Where's my paper? Well, welcome back, everybody. Hope you're enjoying your meal. It's time to get to the most important part of the evening. We're so excited about this. Sherman Poppin was a family man, a dad, a husband, a friend, an inventor. And his invention of the snurfer was born out of love of family in the great outdoors. He wanted to keep his daughter occupied and out of the hair of his then pregnant wife, as his wife asked him to get the kids out of the house. So like any innovative father would do, he lashed together two pairs of skis and they started to play out in the backyard on the hills outside their house. And from that, the snurfer was born. Myself, like so many in the room, we grew up snurfing. Yesterday at the snurfing demo, it was amazing. Once that rope was back in my hand, it was magic. All over again. From the moment I picked up that snurfer and started to trot back up the hill, I was transported back to Eganville, where there were 8 kids sledding, snurfing, and having a ball outside of our house. The beauty of the snurfer is its simplicity. One board, one rope, no bindings, no special boots. It's built to play, and so many people around the country did just that. They played outside in the snow. Over time, an entire new way of gliding on snow was born with the snowboard. But the snurfer started it all. Sherman Poppin will be inducted into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, and we're so excited about it. Let's learn a little more.
In 1965, the grandfather of snowboarding, Sherman Poppin, invented the snurfer for low-cost, easy-access riding and to get his daughters out of the house during a cabin fever Christmas in Michigan. The snurfer would go on to sell more than 800,000 units at less than $7 each. Poppin blazed the trail for millions to follow, including the father of snowboarding, the late Jake Bretton. The snurfer could be easily deployed on any local hill, usually for free, with the added bonus of being able to float on a thin layer of snow. No boots, no bindings, no edges, no travel, no lift tickets, no hassle. The act of sliding reduced to its most simple thrill. The snurfer project was a family affair. Poppin's third daughter, Julie, born just 3 days after that fateful Christmas, notes that the surfer would have never been birthed if she hadn't been so challenging in the womb. Her mom, Nancy, suggested the name snurfer by combining snow with surfing. Poppin's father, Cyrus, recommended attaching a rope to the nose, providing steering and braking, as well as serving as a runway leash. Poppin's eldest daughter, Wendy, successfully demonstrated the prototype on the dunes in front of the executives of the Brunswick Company, who agreed to manufacture and sell the snurfer. The distinctive yellow and black board, incorporating the cartoonish Snurfy mascot, was rolled out for holiday sales in 1966. An annual international snurfer competition originally organized by local community college students, would eventually draw global media attention. A youngster named Jake Bretton Carpenter had been given a snurfer as a present and immediately fell in love. But the snurfer was always a side gig for Poppin, who worked for and eventually bought Lake Welding Supply Company in Muskegon, Michigan. He made a modest amount from snurfer royalties, but never saw the hundreds of millions of dollars that later flowed into the exploding snowboard industry, which also provided resorts with a much-needed boost by attracting young new participants in droves. In the early years of snowboarding, Trans World Snowboarding magazine was king, and it honored Poppin with its first ever Tranny Award for significant contributions to the industry and sport. In 1993, his wife Nancy died, and Sherman later remarried. He and wife Louise moved to Steamboat Springs, where he learned to snowboard in his 60s. He loved it and enjoyed the resort's fabled tree riding. Poppin eventually moved south to Griffin, Georgia, where he died on July 31st, 2019. For his role as the grandfather of snowboarding, Sherman Poppin earns induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
Accepting for their dad, Wendy and Julie Poppin. And hanging the medal around their neck, two-time gold medalist, Seth Westcott.
This is pretty amazing. I have one. Yes, I do. I have, and I did it back in 1966 the first time. So, and which one of you was Goofy on that in that picture?
I was Goofy.
Okay.
I'm Goofy. We're both Goofy.
Okay. Me too. Me too. All right. So that's three of us.
Yeah, right.
All right. On behalf of the entire ski and snowboard industry, as well as your peers, the legends inducted before you, the Hall of Fame Board of Directors, we bestow upon you snow sport's highest honor, induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, where you, Sherman, will forever be remembered.
Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. I just wanted to start the remarks tonight by doing a little yodel that my dad and I used to do on the slopes, because skiing is all about fun, so slide aside. Okay. Yodel-o-hee, yodel-o-hoo, yodel-o-hoo-tee. Now we can assure that our dad's spirit is with us here today, and my daughter is carrying on this tradition. It's whenever we get on the first ski lift, so if you ever hear that, you know there's a Poppin descendant in the house. And apologies to anyone who might be Austrian and actually know how to yodel. Anyway, we're really excited to be here. It's an honor. We wish our dad was here. He would love this. You would have found a kindred spirit with our dad. He would have loved meeting you and sharing stories and laughing, and he was just a fun person, incredible dad. He played hard and he worked hard, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you can relate to that. He was pretty amazing, so we wish he was here tonight. And he loved the snowboard and skiing and winter sports community. So But now what I'd like to do is take us back to that Christmas Day in 1965. I don't know if you heard the real story earlier. It was a little garbled, but really it was invented because I was an annoying baby about to be born. So I wasn't quite born yet, but I was. We had conflicting blood types with my mom, and so it was a planned birth on December 28th. It's Christmas Day, and you know, Wendy was 10 years old. Our other sister, who we wish was here too, but she's here in spirit, Lori, was the 5-year-old. They were eating a lot of candy, making a lot of noise, and my mom said, Sherm, get these girls out of the house.
Oh, so yes, it was 1965, and we had just opened all our gifts and eaten all the candy canes, and yes, we were jacked up on sugar. And so my mom did say, Sherm, get these kids out, and it had just snowed the night before, which was awesome. So he bundled us up, went out, and all we had to play on was a sled, but we lived in the dunes in Michigan, and the runners went through the snow and hooked on the sand so it didn't move. So then he got this barrel. We tried that. That didn't work. And then he goes, I got it. And went to his little workshop and grabbed one of my little skis with my Cubco bindings and tried to stand on it, but his giant feet hung off, and he couldn't go anywhere. So then he went back in, got the second ski, so now they're like this, and put 2 pieces of wood in the tip, 2 pieces of wood in the tail, slid down, and the rest is history. So, yeah, we had fun playing on that all day. You were mad. Oh, 2 things about that. I was super upset, because I loved skiing, and that was, I mean, he's like pounding a nail into my skis. It's like, what? And those skis are now at the Smithsonian in the Inventors exhibit. Yeah. So that's fun.
Let's see. So how about the name Snurfer?
Oh, so yeah, the Snurfer was really a family affair. We have the in utero child here. Give it up. And then my mother, I do remember that day. It's weird, but she stepped out of the back door. I was so happy to see her smiling. She's like, hey, that looks like fun. You should call it a Snurfer for snow and surf. So she invented that. And then we were snurfing one day before this tether was on it, and every time you'd fall, it would just fly down the hill. So my grandfather was there that day and said, you need to tie that thing up or put something on it so it doesn't fly off. So he invented that. He suggested that.
No, that's great. And as the video said earlier, we never had the good fortune to meet Jake Bretton Carpenter, but he did get a snurfer when he was 14 and would come to the annual snurfing competitions in Michigan. And anyway, they both passed away within months of each other, so we hope they're riding on a beautiful powder field right now. But he, what was I going to say? Anyway, Jake really took was that bridge from the snurfer to the snowboard, because he would then modify and tinker his board, and he'd show up and they'd be like, you can't compete with that thing. That's not a snurfer. And so they created an open division for him, and then he won.
Step aside. So basically, our dad really wanted a toy where you didn't have to buy a ski pass, you didn't have special shoes, you didn't need a big mountain, and you didn't need a lot of snow or money. So these sold for what, $6.99 or something in the very beginning. So he really wanted snow sports and being outside in the fun weather to be accessible for everybody. And I think that's one of the reasons he really didn't push it, because it, you know.
Okay, he tried to push it.
Yeah,
anyway, it was a bit of a marketing failure, but that's story for another day. Harvard Business School, you can look it up. But anyway, also to talk a little bit about, well, my dad picked up, believe it or not, lifelong skier, and he finally was kind of shamed by snowboarders because he'd go to these events about the snurfer, and they're like, you cannot show up here again with skis. So in his 65, he picked up snowboarding, never looked back, a total Zen experience for him. And to talk a little bit about his love of snowboarding is his eldest grandson, Nikolai, who had the pleasure of snowboarding with him.
Thank you all for being here. It's truly an honor to be on this stage right now. My grandpa was a larger-than-life figure. He was incredible. And as a kid of only 12, snowboarding with someone who's 70, he might as well have been 9 feet tall, as far as I was concerned. He was intimidating and stiff and scary. And once he got on that snow, he became fluid and alive. He loved it. He taught me how to snowboard. He taught me the tricks. He taught me how to find the powder. And I'll forever be grateful for that experience I had with him. It was truly magical. I'll never forget, we were snowboarding one day. He was, of course, I don't know, 100 yards or so ahead of me. We were in the trees and he fell. And I finally caught up to him. I said, "Grandpa, are you all right?" And he goes, yeah, I think I might have broken a rib. And he kind of puts his hand up. I was like, "Do you want me to call a ski patrol?" And he goes, no, I'm just going to be done for the day. And he got up and snowboarded down. And I find out about a week later, he had 3 broken ribs. And as a 12-year-old, I was like blown away that you could do that. And that was Sherm. He was wonderful. Thank you.
So anyway, just again, thank you all for this. And as was mentioned earlier, and by Gwen also, the importance of inclusion and making sure everyone has the opportunity to be in snow sports. Our dad was very passionate about that as well, which was another driving factor in the creation of this toy that anyone could grab. But also, later in his later years, he became very involved as a philanthropist, and one of our guests at the table, Seth, which I can't see you because the light is blinding me, but Seth Ehrlich from SOS Outreach, which is a Colorado-based nonprofit that is getting underprivileged youth on the snow. And so Seth joined us here today and had a great relationship with our dad. So he has even other stories to share. But they've managed to get like 85,000 young people on the snow who never would have afforded to be able to do that since 1993. And the final closing anecdote I have for you today is that our dad, at one point, Jake Bretton, when he was really starting to build his own boards, contacted my dad and said, "Hey, Sherm, is it okay that I'm calling this a snurfer?" And my dad said, "Well, sure, if you pay me royalties." And Jake said, "Yeah, no thanks." And it was called then a snowboard. And to this day, my dad, well, he was regretting that move because otherwise we might all be watching snurfing at the Winter Olympics right now. So anyway, thank you.
Everybody's going to want to try that now, right? I love it. Well, our next inductee sat at the crossroads of pop culture, mountain lifestyle, and fashion. That's where you'll find her. Barbara Alley has an eye for style, elegance, and taste. Her vision for how ski fashion played a role in our culture is second to none. And she took it to the masses. On TV, print, radio, ski shows, and to cultural centers far and wide from cities and mountains around North America. A former model, she understood the impact of mountain fashion and the impact that impact could have on Main Street, USA. She started to produce fashion shows that made Americans stop and take notice. Few women, if any, have had a similar impact on our sport. From the days of freestyle skiing, World Cup racing, all the way to MTV and beyond, brands took notice of what Barbara Alley and her voice was bringing each season to fashion. She's a dear friend, a visionary, and an icon. Let's learn a little bit more about Barbara Alley. Simon.
Well, Barbara Alley, congratulations. This is so well deserved. The Hall of Fame. Now, I remember when you were the longtime fashion editor at Skiing Magazine, and you made fashion seem absolutely fascinating. Because I was just interested in how fast I went. I used to race in blue jeans and just a baggy old coat. But then I learned from you, if you look good, the judges will give you more points. Oh, wait a minute, not in ski racing. It's just the clock. But you always looked so good. You changed the sport of skiing and how you looked in the starting gate, and especially around the finish line, and especially in the lift line. So Barbara, I think that you deserve to get in the Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Dubbed the First Lady of Ski Fashion, Barbara Allie Simon used virtually every available medium to inspire consumers, the trade, and potential skiers, producing some 2,000 live fashion shows over her career. With a background in clothing, textiles, and modeling, and nurturing a love of the mountains, Barbara's life changed when she went to work as a weekend instructor at Hunter Mountain. There she met ski show promoter Jerry Simon. They were married on Christmas Day at the summit of Jackson Hole in 1970. Simon put her to work at ski shows, clicking through a fashion slideshow. When the slides failed to draw attention, Jerry just gave her the microphone. Crowds flocked, and the rest is history. The ski fashion show concept was born, and Barbara's lifetime career was launched. For over a decade, she produced What's New in Ski Wear, a national TV tour that reached the masses. These TV segments not only showcased clothing, but favorably exposed millions of mostly female viewers to the growing sport of skiing. She appeared on The Today Show, Merv Griffin, and on Oprah. Around 2010, seeking to put an exclamation mark on her over 4 decades in ski fashion, she began poring over her extensive archives to curate an exhibit. The official opening of the Barbara Allie Simon collection at the Alf Engen Museum in Utah came later that same year and has since grown to 75 outfits. For her lifetime devotion to ensuring skiers are stylish, warm, and comfortable, and tireless advocacy of winter apparel, Barbara Allie Simon earns induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
Please welcome to the stage, Barbara Allie Simon.
I had a visitor at my house once, and he walked down the hallway where we have all these pictures, and he came running back and said, "You have an exciting life." Yeah, I do. I work in the ski industry. And by the way, the Poppin girls were great. I can't believe Billy Kidds did that once. He didn't really believe in fashion. Hollis can tell you that. And I told her the other day, I said, Billy, only if he travels, he just has to take a cowboy hat. And she assured me it was the same hat every time. It is. But Hollis, we've been trying to get people to dress in bright colors. I'm winging this. I started to write something funny, but anyway, how did I? You're grinning. Anyway, the way I met Jerry was Jerry Simon. By the way, Hall, I thank you for putting the name on the back of these medals. Now that we're going to have two in the family, this is Jerry Simon's medal. Yeah. Anyway, I worked at Hunter Mountain, and that was a kick. By the way, to get to work at Hunter Mountain, I had to go through a tryout with Kessler Bus Tours. Well, the bus full of students and me, and went up to Hunter to try out, and I had to adjust bindings. I don't know how to adjust bindings. And I had to do it in bus fumes. Yuck. Anybody done that? That was not fun. Anyway, we had a lineup, and I was pointed out by one of the instructors to Carl Plattner, and he chose me. I did all the special projects for them. Anyway, they were going to have a professional pro race up there at Hunter, and people I had worked for said, would you come to the ski show in 1967 and pose for a trophy with the trophy at Andrew Moultrie and Egon Zimmerman. I remember I had to lift my head because I had on false eyelashes. Anyway, that picture, I got a copy of it, so I gave it to the ski school, and they pulled it on the bulletin board at the office. And I got a ride up during the week to go to this great event, because when the Slutskys throw a party, it's like a great bar mitzvah at Hunter. Anyway, I did my one and only torchlight parade, came in all excited, and all of a sudden, and I met my bride, and all of a sudden, Jerry Simon shows up. He had seen the picture. He turned around and saw me across the room and made a beeline for me. That kind of was it. Then over the summer, we talked, and he hired me for ski shows. And I'm sorry about my voice. It's a little rusty now because I have Parkinson's, which I've had for 10 years, but I've had the surgery, and I'm doing fine. And in fact, ladies, it's important to know that I can now put on mascara and lipstick. Anyway, Jerry hired me for the 68 show where I met Bertie Weitzel. And I've been accompanied this week by Bertie, who only needs one name, and Gania, who only needs one name. And thank you for your help. By the way, one of the pictures you saw there was one of my fashion shows, and that was Liz Vanetsky dancing in front. She started dancing for me at ski shows when she was 15. And now she's choreographed shows nationally on television. So I'm proud of Liz. We've had a lot of exciting times. Anyway, I'm very proud of my husband, Jerry Simon, because he was inducted in the class of 13. It was a class of 14. And I've done 2 fashion shows at the Alfanigan Museum. That week Jerry was inducted. We had parties, we had the film festival, we had TV spots, we had a big fashion show. And then I had to speak at Jerry's induction. But I was so proud of it, and this does say Jerry Simon on it. Anyway, Hollis one year gave me a little dish that said the whole world's a runway. And then Kathy Ben Harris has what she calls the vertical runway, because nothing looks better than snow than beautiful ski clothes, which I just love because there's, yeah. And color. Please wear color. Don't put navy blue with gray. That's hitting home. I had one wonderful outfit. There was an Alba of Austria. There was a red checkered outfit, had knicker pants and a newsboy hat. I wore it to the 30th anniversary at Jackson Hole, the 50th at Sun Valley, but it's in the museum now. Another outfit that's in the museum is a onesie that is 1970 skis on it. And I acquired that from Pat Duran, who was a wonderful fashion editor over at Ski. Of course, when Harry Hyde made for Ski, that we stopped being able to work together. We had a great time. She taught me so much. Anyway, I think that's all I can say is dress fashionably. It's all very warm.
Going to be emotional for all of us. Well, I have the Kleenexes. Where'd the Kleenex go? I thought it was up here. Okay. On behalf of the entire ski and snowboard industry, as well as your peers, the legend inducted before you, the Hall of Fame Board of Directors, we bestow upon you snow sport's highest honor, induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, where you, Barbara, will forever, like Jerry, be remembered. That was good.
Barbara, we're going to bring the chair up. Dress fashionably. Says it all. Says it all. Where would we be if no one ran the lifts, made the snow, groomed the snow, built the lodges, organized the ski lessons and snowboard lessons, sold the lift tickets, or parked the cars? Owning and operating a ski area is hard, thankless work. It's a 24/7, 365 job. There really is no off-season. You work holidays, spend late nights navigating weather systems and managing people. None of it is easy. In today's world of merging ski areas, thank God for independent, family-owned resorts. They still remember what the sport is about. They have their fingers on the pulse of what matters to consumers, family, and friends of skiing and snowboarding. Brian Fairbank and his resorts of Cranmore, Jiminy Peak, Bromley are leaders in every aspect, from customer service to uphill capacity, ski and snowboard schools, and so much more. Jiminy Peak was the first resort to go with wind power and became the first self-sustaining resort in the country. For Brian and his company, the customer matters, community matters. He understands the impact that businesses have when they give back, and there's no bigger example of that than how his solar farm in Western Massachusetts puts energy back onto the grid and benefits the local communities by saving money off of their electric bills each month. Brian is a man of integrity, and he leads by example. We are honored to induct Brian Fairbank into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
From PSI examiner and Eastern Demo team member to resort leader and innovator, Brian Fairbank built Jiminy Peak into a Berkshire's gem. He did it by developing an award-winning resort village and increasing visitation sixfold, while also overseeing 5 other ski areas. But what elevated Fairbank into the hall was his penchant for taking what he discovered in the Berkshires and sharing it nationally. Starting from scratch in the early years, Fairbank built a small inn. Today, the resort is a self-sustaining village with 750 units, plus shops and restaurants. A lifelong PSIA innovator, he knew early on that beginner ski schools needed a reboot. With specially designed short skis, instructors trained to teach beginners, and a dedicated standalone learning facility, Jiminy's Guaranteed Easy Turn program set a national benchmark and a template for the National Ski Areas Association model for growth initiative launched in the late 1990s. Jiminy had a power problem in the 2000s, with escalating energy costs reaching $500,000 annually and threatening its future. So Fairbank installed a 1.5 megawatt wind turbine. The installation of the 350-foot Zephyr opened for the 2007-2008 season. It was the most significant management decision in Jiminy's history, and one of the most complex projects ever undertaken by any resort, moving 250 million tons of machinery to the summit. The turbine paid for itself in 8 years and saves an average of 66% in energy each year, after adding a 2.3 megawatt community shared solar facility in 2015. Jiminy is now 100% powered by renewable energy. About that time, Fairbank's son Tyler joined the company, and the Fairbank Group was hatched, providing expertise in renewable energy, efficient snowmaking technology, and lift-op training. Father and son are inseparable, sharing a love of the outdoors, entrepreneurship, and creating an extended family among the workforce. Never in my life, said Fairbank, did I think all this would wind up in the Hall of Fame. For pioneering nationwide innovations at the Berkshire resort he built and ran for 5 decades, Brian Fairbank earns induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
Brian is accompanied to the stage by Vicki Fairbank, his wife. So, guys, well done, dude. That was good.
My
So
turn?
good. Yeah, we're going to hang your medal.
Okay.
Good job. Good job. We're going to do the medal first. No, do the medal. Do the medal first.
Okay, all right. A little confusing. This is going to be emotional for both of us. But I do have a suggestion on the medal. Instead of it being Brian Fairbank, it should be Brian Bestbank. On behalf of the entire ski and snowboard industry, as well as your peers, and there aren't many. The legends inducted before you, the Hall of Fame Board of Directors, we bestow upon you snowboard's highest honor, induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, where you, Brian, will forever be remembered.
That means a lot. And I'll try and keep the tears back.
I'm the same way.
All I can say is, wow, this is really happening. You know, I would take a minute to, when I think about the industry and I kind of think about how did I get here, I'd ask you all to take for a minute and either close your eyes or just think back. Where were you the first time you skied or snowboarded? Who were you with? Where were you? What particular conditions were like that day? And obviously you must have had a good time or you probably wouldn't be sitting here tonight. Well, I started 70 years ago. I was 6 years old. I now gave away my age. My dad took me to a little ski hill south of Buffalo, New York called Emery Park. And it was upside down, you parked on top, there was a rope tow at the bottom that brought you back up. And my dad said, just put your skis in this snowplow and you'll be fine. And put me in these bear trap bindings and off I went, and I went about 80 feet and crashed and burned, and he came down and he said, you're doing great. And picked me up and off I went, and I did it again and I did it again. He never told me how to get up the rope tow. I got to the bottom and I kind of watched for a while and somehow I must have figured it out. Well, 2 hours later, crashing and burning, getting up every time, my entire life changed. From that moment on, I became passionate about skiing, and I became passionate about it as a teenager, through adult life, and to this day. And I look back and I say that one experience for a short period of time in my life made all the difference. Well, as you know, by looking at the video, I've spent 53 years of my life at Jiminy Peak, and it's been a great pleasure to be able to say, what can we do to make this Berkshire County ski resort all that it can possibly become. But my involvement with the National Ski Area has really made a big difference. I got involved in the 80s, and I stayed involved until 2000 when I became chairman of the board. In that period of time, I came to realize something in the mid-90s that I thought was important to share with the executive committee. I went to Stratton Mountain in January to an SIA show. And I saw these short 120 centimeter skis with a big side cut, and I tried a pair. And I brought them back to Jiminy. I paid for them. And I really became so intrigued with what they could do to get you in and out of the fall line in a hurry. But I started to say, is there a way these could be used for beginners? So we bought 50 pair of them, and our snow sports staff spent the next couple of months looking at saying, how could we change our methodology? What could we do to try and enhance the efficiency of a beginner to learn how to ski? Subsequently, put together a PowerPoint and shared it with the executive committee of NSAA. From that point forward, the ability to have beginner centers that were specialized where the beginners could be out away from the maddening crowd and be able to learn how to ski more efficiently became the rule of the land. And it was probably a really important moment for me to say, wow, I had an opportunity to see a new experience and be able to share it with others. But everything really changed more significantly in 2004. Now, we put the turbine up in 2007. But I went to our banker in 2004 and said, I'd like to borrow $3 million to put up a wind turbine. And he looked at me and said, you're kidding, aren't you? And I said, no, I'm dead serious. And he said, you're in the resort business, you're not in the energy business. And we played around with the numbers, and over a period of time, it took us 3 years to be able to get to the point that we built Zephyr. And Zephyr created for us 4.5 million kilowatt hours a year, a huge step in going forward. The next year, in 2008, we got the Golden Eagle Award from NSAA for what we did with the Renewable Energy Initiative and what it did to transfer some other ski resorts in the country to say, what can I do to create renewables? But we didn't stop there. As you saw in the video, we helped to facilitate putting in a solar project, and that solar project we took half of the energy from, which gave us the ability to say we truly are now producing more electricity than we're using. And that became a major flagship for us to say going forward. I can tell you today that that wasn't the vision of what it was going to be in terms of significance 10 years ago. But when you look at what's going on with climate change today, what we did make a major mark in terms of saying you can make a difference. Well, in 2017, I got recognition from the National Ski Areas for a Lifetime Achievement Award. And I can tell you, up until tonight, it was probably one of my proudest moments because I got recognition from our peers throughout the country. And it really was a completion of many years' involvement with the industry and being recognized by the people within the industry. But I look back at everything that's happened and say, none of it would have happened without the support of other people. I couldn't been involved with efforts beyond our property boundaries without first the support of our partner, Joel O'Donnell. Joel O'Donnell became a great sounding board, but in essence, he agreed with all of our recommendations of what we should even go forward with, even though he didn't understand that the turbine didn't mean just green money. It meant that it was green power. And I say that facetiously, but that was a comment he made when we kicked it off. Secondly, the management team at Jiminy Peak and our other resorts have made all the difference. Everybody there has been dedicated and loyal and striving to do the best job they possibly can and made it possible for me to go out and do other things that I had a heartburn to try and make happen. And third, there are people in this room that have become great friends, have been professional consultants, whether it's financial, whether it's insurance, or whether it's just been people committed within the industry that I've developed a friendship with. They've made all the difference in giving you the emotional support to say, it's worth trying to do a little bit different and helping. But finally, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Vicki. Vicki not only supported me, but she tolerated me through thick and thin as things transpired. I stand here in front of you recognizing this is the most important point in my life. I couldn't be prouder. And I look at it and say, I'm going to live with this memory forever. I thank you all for being here tonight, but more importantly, I want to thank you for supporting the Ski Hall of Fame, for everything that you do in making the efforts to be here this evening. It makes all the difference. Have a great evening.
Congratulations, Brian. You did great, mate. Good job. Good. Beautiful. So we can't do any of this without you. On the table, there's these cards, Max the Match. The hall has received a grant, a match grant from the state of Michigan. It's a $15,000, it becomes a $30,000 grant if we match their 15. If everybody in the room just gave $68 tonight, we would do that. All you have to do is click one of the boxes on the card, put your name, clearly write your email, and everybody at the hall will do the rest. We're going to take a short 15-minute break. Please look over the auction items. Fill out your card if you would. We would greatly appreciate it. And we'll be back in 15 minutes. Thank you.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. All right, everybody, we're going to take the stage. Dan's coming up in 2 minutes. If everybody could find their seats, that would be amazing. We have 3 more honorees. Let's respect the evening. And let's get back in here for the second part of the show, please.
I want to thank everybody in advance for Max the Match. We appreciate your participation in that. Thank you very much. When you come up to the hall in Ishpeming, in the center of town, and the grass is cut, and the hall is dusted, and you get an admission ticket, all of that is done by Justin. Can we give him a big round of applause? He thanks you, we thank you, and we really appreciate it. This is the 20th anniversary of the 2002 Winter Olympics. The 2002 Winter Games are considered the most successful Winter Games of the modern era. Almost every venue that was used in those games are being used today. Whether it's the Nordic jumps, the water ramps, the alpine venues, the park, the whole expansion and explosion of Woodward's and what's happening there for New School. is all part of the legacy and the vision of Howard Peterson. When we think of Bodie Miller, Kelly Clark, Ross Powers, Apollo Ono, these are just a few of the athletes that we remember their accomplishments. These Olympians and so many others owe a debt of gratitude to the people who planned, worked, and brought the games to Salt Lake City, and that was spearheaded by Howard. The facility, the Nordic facility at Soldier Hollow, is his greatest legacy. Howard's vision, it was part of the vision, was to always have legacy after the games. Those deep roots come all the way back here to Bretton Woods, where Howard was the director of skiing and founded the Nordic Center here at the hotel. Howard was a problem solver, and he was guided by a moral compass, and that served him well over the years as he sorted out the corruption at the IOC. He was an influential leader at the FIS, and we are proud to induct Howard Peterson into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
In a career that spanned 4 decades, Howard Peterson transformed competitive skiing and snowboarding in America. The humble U.S. Ski Association leader was hardly known outside competitive circles, but he moved mountains within. Peterson began his career as director of skiing at Bretton Woods in New Hampshire and was among the founders of what is known today as the Cross Country Ski Areas Association. He then moved to the U.S. Ski Association, first in marketing, then heading the organization as Secretary General and becoming a crafty diplomat within the International Ski Federation. He played a pivotal role in bringing freestyle skiing into the Olympics and advancing adaptive skiing. Peterson later advocated for snowboarding, helping fast-track it towards its Olympic debut. His mastery of negotiations helped bring the separate U.S. Ski Team and U.S. Ski Association together in 1988. He put a high value on ethics, serving as a watchdog within the U.S. Olympic Committee. His focus on building legacy venues that outlived the Games helped bring the 2002 Olympics to Salt Lake City. His plan for legacy lives on today, 20 years later. It was his passion for athlete support and a vast international network that brought in cash prizes before any other Olympic sport and broadened advertising rules to benefit athletes. For most everyone else, and Utahns in particular, Peterson's own legacy was right at home with the Soldier Hollow Legacy Foundation. The venue hosted the 2002 Olympic cross-country and biathlon events. For Peterson, who retired from U.S. skiing in 1994, this would be his final legacy. Combining an earlier initiative with a new passion, Peterson died after a long illness on May 11, 2020. For his groundbreaking accomplishments with the U.S. ski and snowboard team, and for dramatically diversifying Olympic snow sports, Howard Peterson earns induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
Accompanying up to the accepting Kathleen Hager and David Tippett. We'll do the medal. Do the medal.
Okay, we're ready. On behalf of the entire ski and snowboard industry, as well as your peers, the legends inducted before you, the Hall of Fame Board of Directors, we bestow upon you snow sports' highest honor, induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, where you, Howard Peterson, will forever be remembered. Good.
very fitting that it's being held here at Bretton Woods, where Howard really got his start. It was actually my girlfriend who hired him to work here at the hotel in the tennis shop. But he got to know the general manager over at the ski area at that time, Richard Schaefer. And Dick Schaefer asked him if he wanted to work at the ski shop in that following winter. And he accepted. This was 1974, and Bretton Woods was coming out of a bankruptcy. So he had an uphill battle ahead of him, but he was able to turn quite a profit in the operation at the ski shop, the rental area, and some of the things that he accomplished here, there had been cross-country skiing on the trails, but there was no ski center and there was no ticket admission, there was no trail grooming. Howard saw this as an opportunity and developed the cross-country center. We got our start in New Hampshire by coming up here to climb, and I want to talk a little bit about climbing. Howard and I accomplished a lot of first ascents here on Cannon Cliff, as well as down on Cathedral Ledge and White Horse. He also got involved with writing a guidebook, A Climber's Guide to Cannon, and he did three editions of that to update it between 74 and 78. And his last edition included photographs. And I just want a little side note here on how he accomplished his photographs. As people were climbing, and he knew they were climbing a new route, especially a first ascent, he wanted to document that. But he was one of the first people to realize you got much better pictures if you were hanging on a rope and taking pictures of these climbers as they're coming up the cliff. And he did get some fantastic shots that were used in his guidebook. But for those who were doing that first ascent, it was a little bit of a discouragement to see someone hanging there on a rope. It would be like Hillary and Tenzing reaching the summit of Everest only to find a film crew up there to document it. There's we were also in climbing, the two of us were founding members of Mountain Rescue Service here in the White Mountains. Some of the climbing we did was in Alaska, and we did a first ascent of Pease Peak off of the Ruth Glacier in what was then McKinley National Park and now is Denali National Park. So I think I will hand it over to you to...
Okay. Hi, I'm Kathleen Hager. I'm Howard Peterson's sister-in-law. He was married to my sister. It's my great honor to come here and receive this award for him. You know, I had a lot of things I wanted to say about Howard. I spent a lot of his last years with him, and we would talk about things, and I wanted to share some of the things that Howard was most proud of, but all of you that know Howard, he was not a proud, boastful man. But it was very important to him that he got snowboarding into the Olympics as an event, and that he got freestyle. He didn't do it, but got it into the Olympics as an event. It really was important to him that those things happened for the Olympics. And it was also important to him that he got cash prizes for the Olympics. They didn't used to get cash prizes. And they also were not allowed to wear their sponsors on their gear. And he got the committee to commit to letting them put their Coca-Cola or their Kodak onto their gear so that they could advertise their sponsors, which in turn made the athletes get more sponsors. Lastly, I want to say that this is great if y'all haven't read it. There's one little line in it said in the video I want to refer to, that Howard died from a long battle and his wife Susan was a major support in Soldier Hollow. And the two of them met ice climbing here at Mount Washington in 1976. And they were married and traveled over 80 countries together. And I brought this little photo. It'll be out on the registration table. And it's of Howard and Susan on that very first date that they took rock climbing on Mount Washington. Thank you.
I would like to thank all of the people who are responsible for bringing Howard forward, especially Tom Kelly in nominating Howard for this award. And he would be honored and very appreciative of the work that you've done. Thank you very much.
So amazing when I think of just all the kids that go to USSA races and all the impact when there's a scorer or a starter, somebody to post the race and the results. All that ties back to Howard. And we all owe a debt of gratitude for him for that. Before Peekaboo, Vaughn, Schifrin, there was Holly Flanders. Hailing from mighty Pat's Peak in Mount Sunapee, New Hampshire. Like Holly and most of us, skiing's a family affair. And if you're the younger sibling, you're often trying to chase down the older ones so you don't get left behind. And isn't that where the talent is learned and earned? Holly Flanders was a tenacious competitor, one who would never give up. She went from last to fast and found her way onto the U.S. ski and snowboard team bound for the Olympics. America's top woman downhiller for nearly a decade, she came within just a few points of winning the overall FIS Downhill Globe. Holly won 3 World Cup races. She had 6 World Cup podiums, 27 World Cup top 10s. She was a glider, a competitor, and she graced the U.S. ski team for 2 Olympics. She was one of my first ski heroes, and we are honored to induct Holly Flanders into U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
As a youngster, Holly Flanders considered herself to be a slowpoke, never a natural, always grinding out the details while she tried to catch up with the fastest skier. And at the 1979 U.S. ski team training camp in Austria, it dawned on her to stop trying so hard and to absorb the view instead. With her mind free, Flanders focused on the joy. The life balance discovery changed her career trajectory and her life. 2 years later, she won the World Cup downhill in Bad Gastein, Austria, and then Arosa, Switzerland, ultimately finishing second in the downhill standings for the 1981-82 season as the U.S. women won the Nations Cup. 30 years later, Flanders' middle son, Alex, stood on the start ramp of the X Games in Aspen. Of all the lessons he'd received from his mom, he thought of this one: take in the beauty of the scenery.
How proud of you of your son right now? Oh, I am so proud of him.
He flipped and spun his way to gold, then collected another title in the World Championship slopestyle the next week. Holly Flanders grew up in Deerfield, New Hampshire. She started skiing as a toddler and then racing at age 7 at nearby Mount Sunapee while attending Burke Mountain Academy. She showed enough promise to be elevated to the national team. Flanders was always the fastest glider, but when she brought her technical skills up to par, she joined the ranks among the world's best. As the USA's top-ranked downhiller from 1982 to 1986, Flanders would eventually win a third World Cup race in Mount St. Anne, Quebec in 1984. In her career, she recorded 10 podiums and finished in the top 10 on 27 occasions. After retiring from the team, she became the director of skiing at Park City, where her personality and upbeat attitude made her the ideal resort representative. She developed programs for women to improve their skiing, holding clinics for over 25 years, and also did commentary for CBS, ESPN, Turner Sports, and GGP. Flanders is now a motivational speaker, wellness coach, and author, writing a book titled Ski Downhill Fast. For winning World Cup downhills and leading the U.S. ski team to its only Nations Cup title, Holly Flanders earns induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
Holly Flanders!
Come on up. Why don't you come on up this way? Wow. This is great. It's emotional for all of us to watch this. On behalf of the entire ski and snowboard industry, as well as your peers, the legends inducted before you, the Hall of Fame Board of Directors, we bestow upon you snow sport's highest honor, induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, will forever, and where you, Holly Flanders, will be forever remembered. Congratulations.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you. I'm so honored to be included with this group of people. This is incredible. I'm aware of my skiing history, and I just know it, and I live with it, but to be honored at this level is, wow, that's amazing. Thank you. It all started at Mount Sunapee, New Hampshire. We skied as a family. My dad got us skiing on weekends. And my sister, Deb Flanders, who's here today, decided that she wanted to ski race. So we joined the Mount Sunapee Ski Club. And we race and stuff. My first ski race was when I was 6 years old, and it was at what is now Whaleback, and I skied down the course with a borrowed helmet falling over my eyes. I was put into the race only because they needed one more racer, and I placed last. Well, being the youngest of 4, you're always trying to catch up, right? So Deb went on to win, or to be a promising downhiller on the World Cup race circuit. But when she was 17, she broke her leg in a downhill. And after that, she couldn't race at the World Cup level anymore. And she became a coach. She coached at Pat's Peak. Jack Krantz started that program there, and his daughter, Jeannie Bishop, is the one who hung the medal on my neck. So happy to have her here today. At Pat's Peak, my sister taught us to run a flat ski. So if you're skiing down the hill straight, it's easier to kind of have your skis on edge a little bit. Because if you let them wander, that's an insecure feeling, and you have to like be really on top of them. But my sister had been a downhiller, and she said, let your skis wander and let them run fast. It's going to be a lot faster. And then we were working on, having our ankles and knees flexible and absorbing all the little bumps. And that really was instrumental in my whole career. From Pat's Peak, I went to Burke Mountain Academy for my senior year in high school. And at the age of 18, I was racing a slalom race at Killington, and I was off balance. My arms and poles were flailing around. Too many turns in a slalom, I guess. There were some coaches on the side of the course, and one of them comments, "She skis like a bag of bolts." A bag of bolts. I heard about that story sometime later, and I didn't let it slow me down. I just kept going. I made the U.S. development ski team, finally, from some downhill results I had. I wasn't a great natural talent, but I did know how to let the skis run fast. I was climbing the ranks slowly. I was kind of a scrapper, just kept going. And then the fall of 1979, it's sold in Austria. As was mentioned in the movie, I had an epiphany because we were with the U.S. women's ski team having a training camp and running GS timed training runs, and I was placing last. I thought that I was on a plateau because I was placing around 20th in the World Cup downhills, and I wasn't progressing. I was just stuck at that level. And I thought, I don't really want to stay at this level. Something's got to change. So I was standing there, and I just let my mind empty, and I looked up at the Alps, and it's like, whoa, look at those mountains. I've been here all these days, and I haven't even seen the mountains. With the beautiful snow glistening on them, and the glaciers, the browns, and the grays, and then the blue sky, I hadn't even noticed them. So I took it in. And then with that mindset, I started skiing down the hill. And I felt the power in my skis, how beautiful it is to make a turn and feel it come around. And it felt so wonderful. And then I got into the giant slalom timed training run, and I won. Whoa, I'm like, And I won some more, and this is against the really good giant slalom skiers. So I'd reached a new level. I learned that beauty has power to open your heart when you look at it, when you notice how beauty is. And it can put you into the state of mind where you can perform better and you can succeed. And then later that winter, I qualified. It was tough for me to qualify for the 1980 Olympics in Lake Placid. I had to place in the top 5 in a World Cup, and I hadn't done that before. But last World Cup before the Olympics, I got 5th. Whew, made it. And then I also won the national downhill title that winter in Alyeska, Alaska. So I reached a new level, and I kept that same mindset when I remembered. And so I kept going, kept climbing, scrapping my way up. And then in January 18th of 1982, Bad Gastein World Cup downhill races. There I am at the start. Imagine yourself at the start of a downhill race. There are hundreds of people lining the course. The cameras are on you, and there's countless people watching the race around the world. The finish line is, maybe 2 miles down the mountain. You have maybe 2 minutes to make it to the finish line. If you win that race, you're considered the best female downhill ski racer in the world on that day. Well, I pushed out of the start. Everything was clicking. I go through the finish, look up at the scoreboard. Number 1. Whoa! Me, number 1? And my time held? I won. That was my first win. And after all those years of scrapping and being the underdog, wow, that first win was amazing for me. The Bag of Bolts won a World Cup race. Wow. And then later that season, I won another one in Arosa, Switzerland. And then the next day, there was another downhill. It was a double downhill. All I had to do was place in the top 9, and I would have won the overall World Cup downhill title for that year. And there was one turn that I hadn't done perfectly the day before, even though I won the race. I wanted to do the turn better. So I get to that turn the second day, and I turned it just a little bit too early this time. And it was a really sharp turn, and the momentum carried me past the next gate, and I was out. All of a sudden, your season's over. Boom, you blew it. You're out. Takes a little while to recover from that, but eventually you recover. You thank heavens that nobody died that day and that you still have a body and you function. But then you keep going, and you keep going. Fast forward to 2011, and my son Alex Schlopy, won the X Games as a rookie in big air skiing. Whoa, as a parent, that's a whole different story watching that. Oh, my gosh. And then he won the world championships, the first world championships in slopestyle skiing, and a few more do tours and World Cups. Well, in this sport of skiing that we all love so much, we stand on the shoulders of the ones who come before us. And I stand on the shoulders of my sister, Deb Flanders. Yeah. And my son, Alex, stands on my shoulders. We are all a big family, and we get it. We understand each other because we all share the love for this amazing sport of skiing. I am so grateful for the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame for keeping this skiing history alive. Thank you very much.
It's awesome. Few people on the planet have won back-to-back gold medals. It's an elite club. But Seth Westcott won more than that. He's a 12-time World Cup medalist, a 7-time X Games medalist, a 3-time national champion, and a world champion. Oh, wait, there's more. He's appeared in countless Warren Miller ski films, snowboarding the craziest runs from the Himalayas to Alaska and beyond. Basically, he's one big kid who just loves to snowboard. Riding with him yesterday, it was a lesson on how to find joy in the mountains. Playful, ripping around, and just flashing it with Mount Washington in the background. It was an amazing sight. Westcott from CVA and Sugarloaf transformed snowboarding competition with his professionalism and commitment to training, his fierce competitive nature. He's a student of the sport who appreciates the history and the future potential of it. His passionate snowboarding career is a wink to the past and a nod to the future on where it will go next. Generations of snowboarders will come to stand on his back, and they will be rooted in the firm foundation of tradition, style, and the freedom of the sport. And we are honored to induct Seth Westcott into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
As a pro's pro, both on and off the mountain, Seth Westcott won the first Olympic snowboard cross gold medal at Torino in 2006, then did it again in Vancouver 4 years later. Westcott always spoke his mind, supported his boyhood roots in Sugarloaf, Maine, and rekindled the company that had manufactured one of the sport's first snowboards. Westcott was born in Durham, North Carolina in 1976, but the family soon moved to Maine with the proceeds from a paper route in 6th grade. Westcott became one of the earliest converters to snowboarding. 3 years later, he was sponsored by Bretton. He attended the acclaimed Carrabassett Valley Academy and was a world-class halfpipe athlete, competing internationally in that event until 2003. Westcott eventually went all in on snowboard cross, which features jumps, banks, bumps, and rolls. It was the perfect discipline for the technically superb Westcott, who had the additional quality of peaking for big events. He tallied 10 medals in snowboarding's majors, the Winter X Games, World Championships, and Olympics. 3 of those medals were gold, and 2 of them came in the Olympics, the premier event of all. When he won the Olympic gold in 2006, he stood in the finish line waving the World War II service flag of his grandfather, proud to showcase family and his home state of Maine. Westcott co-founded and owned a popular bar on the access road to Sugarloaf called The Rack, the site of numerous homecoming celebrations over his career. He is also a partner in legendary Winterstick, billed as the longest continually operating snowboard company, and the boards are manufactured at Sugarloaf's base. Westcott now lives in Whistler, British Columbia with his wife Kit. Meanwhile, he hasn't lost his touch on snow. In 2019 and 2020, he won the pro class of the legendary Mount Baker Bank Slalom, the second oldest snowboard event. And he was the voice of snowboard cross on NBC's Olympic coverage. For his dominance on snowboard cross in the event's first 2 Olympics and his good deeds in Sugarloaf, Seth Westcott earns induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
Great job, dude. Great job. Nice one, Curtis.
Oh, wow, this is great. All right, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
You got your Kleenex ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to try not to cry tonight.
Okay, I can understand that. On behalf of the entire ski and snowboard industry, as well as your peers, the legends inducted before you, the Hall of Fame Board of Directors, we bestow upon you snow sport's highest honor, induction into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame, where you, Seth, will forever be remembered.
I'm going to do one shout out here to the man walking off the stage. Curtis Baca gave up a lot of time with his family to travel with me for 14 years all over the world as the greatest technician in snow sports. He spent a dozen years with the men's downhill team, waxing for Kyle Rasmussen, helping Kyle become the first American man to win the famed Labrador on Wengen. Tech for Tommy Moe and tech for Darren Rolfs in his ski cross career, and it's an honor that he was here with me tonight after so many miles, flying around this globe, making everyone fast. So I'm going to try not to just sit here and cry the whole time, but more read a little story. In the winter of 1987-88, I fell in love. I was supposed to be training slalom at Tickham Ski Hill in Farmington, Maine, but I witnessed something that night that I instantly knew was what I was supposed to be doing. Years earlier, I had found my father's 1970s sidewalk surfer skateboard tucked away high on the pantry shelf in our 1790 home. I would repeat the scene of Marty McFly saying, "Shit, I'm late for school," before pressing play on an overly large tape deck stuffed into the front pocket of my sweatshirt where Huey Lewis' The News was queued up to The Power of Love, and go bombing down the hill by the Roberts Dining Hall at Colby College, carving turns, making the right turn through the gate onto the best section of naturally curved sidewalk I knew of that led past the Colby College track. Recreating that opening scene of Back to the Future over and over in my mind. In Western Maine, there were no skateboard videos in the 80s. In the weekly trips to Mr. Paperback, I had been seeing snowboarding for a few months in International Snowboarding Magazine and the first issue of Trans World. But here, under the lights at Tickham, were real snowboarders, one of whom is in this room tonight. A few days later, I tracked down one of them and was sold my first snowboard for $80 worth of Maine Sunday Telegram paper route money. My journey had begun. In the winter of '91, I competed in my first half-pipe event in the New England Cup at Sugarloaf, and the following year started landing on podiums around New England. I followed in Mark Fawcett's deeply carved tracks to CVA in the winter of '93-'94, and that spring made it all the way to the semifinals of the US Open, competing against my heroes before graduating high school. I went to college at Western State College of Colorado, not to study, but to turn pro far enough away from my parents' watch that I could pull it off. The Greyhound bus rides from Gunnison to California and the Pacific Northwest were a grueling 3-day adventure in navigating odd folks in bus stations and a lot of patience. But I won the overall national title that spring, and the following fall had 2 video parts, a 2-page spread in Snowboarder, and a series of instructional how-tos published in Snowboard Magazine. On the back jacket of the movie box, my name was next to Craig Kelly's, one of my greatest heroes. I dropped out of college at Christmas of year 2, and 2 weeks later landed on my first Pro Tour podium in Vail, behind only Jeff Brushy and Todd Richards, who had both won the World Championships. The 127 other best half-pipe riders in North America were all behind me. While everyone else flew to Kirkwood, I got back on the Greyhound and arrived a couple days later. Days like that made my hunger real. I have always believed that because of the way I had to go about my journey, with little support and no plan B, is what made me successful. My first contract from Sugarloaf that Dana Bullen gave me let me buy a $1,500 Volkswagen Scirocco, prepaid my rent for the year, and allowed me to earn enough prize money that winter that I didn't have to go back to pounding nails ever again. I even got to start eating some protein instead of ramen, a ramen-only diet that winter that didn't seem to hold up when I was at elevation hiking half-pipes. So what if I had to hold the stick shift and gear the whole 6-hour drive from southern Vermont, the oversized checks from the Border Fest tour that started piling up in the back seat were what allowed me to start jumping across the Atlantic. Greg Stump's The Blizzard of Oz and Fall Line Films' Snowboarders in Exile made me believe while I was in high school that there was a way to carve a path and explore the world. More than anything, I wanted to see this planet. While it was Craig Kelly and Terry A. Hawkinson's precise style of riding I tried to emulate, it was the lore of Craig's sense of adventure that truly stuck with me. I wanted to see all these far-off places. I wanted to ride all of those mountain ranges. When in grade school, I interviewed Coach Tom Reynolds from UMF for a school project, and I remember his awe of the size of the Alps. Arriving in Chamonix for the first time at night and seeing the spotlit peaks seemed like holograms. The following morning, dropping into the Couloir Cosmique the next day, I knew they were very real. 2003 was a massive year for me. After witnessing my teenage friend and teammate Ross Powers lead the men's medal sweep in Salt Lake and crying tears of joy at a gas station randomly on the side of a solo drive across the country to get to the games when I received the news from my teammate Ricky Bauer that Kelly Clark had won for the women. There was a real feeling that my generation was taking over the sport. I had finally committed to board across the year before, and the world title had come down to the final heat race of the 027 in Lach, Switzerland, where I got fourth and ended the season third overall on the podium. The ISF died that year, and the dance with fists for snowboarding began. At the World Championships, I brought home my first of 4 podiums and became the last man in a quickly specializing sport to make the final of both a freestyle and race discipline at the same World Championships in snowboard history. Again, trying to mimic Craig in being great across the board. A week later, I added another X Games medal, my first roll of Baker duct tape, another US championship, and then left for the start of a whole new chapter as I embarked on my life in the big mountains in Alaska. That month of April changed my life. Arriving in Cordova, the talk of the van ride from the Mudhole Smith airfield to the Orca cannery was that Kent Kreitler had beaten his slough down the Sphinx. I had never seen the Sphinx, though if I would have paid better attention in college to the snowboard videos, I would have seen Jim Rippey making its first descent. My friend, Swiss Olympic bronze medalist from the giant slalom, Uli Kestenholz, had invited me up there to film with some European friends, big mountain legends, Xavier Delarue, Mitch Todler, and Flo Orley. Our filmer, Seppi Daubringer of Austria, showed us footage that night of a massive avalanche that Zav had taken for a ride just a couple days before. This was definitely a departure from the consequences I had previously known. We started off the first day getting checked out on an Alaskan bunny slope, as you will, by the salty guide, Dean Conway. I had seen his skiing in movies through the 90s, and after the first couple of runs, he knew we were there to play for real. Ending day one on a multi-pitched, exposed 3,000-foot run called Humble Pie, while Uli did a never-since-repeated descent of the Holden Spine. Morning 2 found us on top of the Sphinx. I had won the Rochambeau to ride the iconic face. And as Dean and I stood on the narrow spine leading to the drop-in spot, I asked, "Do you think I can beat the slough?" In his dry style, he responded, "It's been done." In my head, all I could picture was this entire massive face fracturing and making me a part of the glacier 1,800 feet below. I guess I had been hoping for some kind of reassurance. Dropping in 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, dropping. I had been in start gates my whole life. Having someone else calling you into a line so that their pan of a camera could sync up with the action on screen was something I was a little unfamiliar with. I would get used to this feeling over the next nearly 2 decades and come to love it. It was like standing in the start gate of the Olympic final, the World Championship final, or the start shack at Mount Baker every February, where the writing on the outside is a piece of good advice saying, say your prayers, stay low, and be powerful. 20 of the best turns of my life later, I had jumped the Bergschrund and was rocketing out onto the Sheridan Glacier, a guttural scream echoing across the valley. It is still to this day the best, most impactful run of my life. Minutes later, I watched in horror as Uli Kestenholz caught an edge on a slough runnel and cartwheeled 1,500 vertical feet to the valley floor, bouncing off a 50-foot serac at the bottom and coming to a dead stop motionless on the glacier in front of me. I ran, post-holing through snow, towards him, screaming into the radio, but I was so far away and could hardly make any headway. Minutes later, he regained consciousness and signaled that he was okay, but in a great deal of pain. The yin and yang of elation and terror in just minutes. Such has been this journey through a life in the mountains. I sat in Santiago, Chile at the hospital with Lena Ostwald's parents and her fiance when she passed from her coma into whatever comes next in this universe, understanding their grief and shock. I watched in Lake Placid as the ski patrol stopped performing CPR on Jonathan Johansson, who I had been following moments before on a training run that went horribly wrong. I walked back up to the course and told his teammates and the rest of the racers that that World Cup was canceled. We would not race on a day when we had lost one of our own. My dear friend Kip Garr, who was raised in this very state of New Hampshire, and like me, cut his teeth on the steeps of Mount Washington, passed within 24 hours of us filming an amazing week for Warren Miller at Points North Heli. He had dropped me off at the Cordova airport. At the end of another April session, I had flown down to pick up my truck at US Team headquarters in Park City and drove straight home to Maine. Walking through the back door of the rack to my favorite corner behind the bar, I overheard two young skiers talking about his passing that had been posted on the TGR site. It didn't seem that it could be real. I was shattered. That fall, I spread his ashes in the most crystalline waters I have ever seen off the coast of the Antarctic Peninsula. I will be haunted for the rest of my life by the image of how they sparkled in that sunlight descending into the depths. We had planned to be there together, and he was with me that whole incredible voyage. I have carried his ashes all over the globe with me since, honoring his guidance and friendship in the mountains. It is these moments on polar bear watch all night in Svalbard, or watching the sons of the Sherpas try our snowboards at the Annapurna Base Camp in Nepal, the kids in the village at Kulisuk, Greenland. Having the school children of Cordova, Alaska wear my gold medal. They are so much larger than sport. They are the priceless moments I truly cherish in this life. The friendships and the struggles for the moments when the world aligns and it all comes together, when the magic happens. And when the magic happens, it takes a village to create it. In the summer of '05, I shared a car ride from Beaver Creek to DIA with Phil Mayer. It was a truly valuable few hours that helped prepare me to move from a world champion to be ready for Torino. I'm sure many of you have heard Phil speak about his perspective shift that happened in his mind from thinking he had accomplished everything on his own to the realization of how much he had been helped along his way, and he hadn't realized it until he saw the flag raised when he finally won his gold. With this understanding, I believed that I channeled so much energy from the people who wished me well and encouraged me in that lead up to Torino. It was like being charged as a battery every day and waiting to unleash it, and it worked. So to that village that helped me to get to the start gate in Torino, you are the reason I am here today. And while I could spend an hour thanking you all individually, I won't. But know that deep in my heart, I am forever grateful for your helping hands along the way of chasing this dream, born from a simple moment of witnessing a few guys having fun sliding on snow. It was an honor to get to carry the flag for all of you.
It's that emotion that is the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. I want to thank you for supporting all the inductees here tonight. Thank you for supporting the hall. And please join us outside for a little partying. Thanks a lot. Have a great night.